welcome back to Football Bloody Hell.
Bloody hell.
Bloody hell. So you'll probably notice something if you're paying very close attention to our very short intro there. And also behind Gary's head. Season 3. So we're coming back for Season 3. We've had a little break. Work, other things, commitments, life has got in the way. So we're coming back now with Season 3. And if you're a Sunderland fan, it's going to be quite a heavy Sunderland podcast. Hence Gary's shirt. But yeah, we're gonna jump back into it. The new season started. We'll throw a few things about, do a bit of predictions. But I think the main thing is we're back for Season 3. We've got a plan for a more regular upload schedule that fits within our time and doesn't push us too much. And also, we've changed a few bits, like the background. You'll notice the background's a different colour, and it's got some fancy shit going on at the bottom, which is great. Anyway, how are you, Gary? All good?
I'm good, man. Let's kick off Season 3 by getting Spotify to block our podcast because the boys are back. That's probably enough though, because if I play any more,
that's fine. Like, I think it's like under 7 seconds, and you're good. And I think that was a few seconds. Yeah, that was the boys like 2. Back. I think
I'll play it in short intervals throughout this episode, but I'm good, mate. I've like you say, life getting in the way, work getting in the way, new jobs, new starts, new adventures, mate. So just really, really glad to be back speaking to you. How the devil are you?
Yeah, good. I've moved house, which has been fantastic. I built an office cabin. I'm not in the office cabin, you probably realised.
Who buys a new house and then buys a mini house for themselves to live in? You.
Me, yeah.
Good idea as
and
well.
Then builds
I'm
it
only
themselves.
saying that because...
Yeah. The even better thing. Builds it
out of foraged wood.
Bought a new build house, and I thought that ain't enough. I'm going to build my own house in the garden.
What a way to go. I must say to anybody who hasn't seen it, it's pretty impressive. I am impressed. I didn't. To be fair, you do look the kind of type that would be able to do something like that. You've got that lumberjack look about you at the minute, rugged.
I've never done anything like that before. It was the first time I ever did it, and I think it did pretty well, to be fair. So still ain't finished. Few bits to go. More painting, which, to be fair, the painting side of things is the most tedious for me. The wife loves it, but I'm just get it over with. Can I move in now? I built it. I don't want to paint it.
What colour have you done it though?
Is it like white on? I'll send you a picture later, but it's called willow, so it's like a dark
willow,
tealy green.
Oh, but
similar to the colour on your shirt, mate. The green on your shirt.
I mean, nice little segue. But so, I mean, the first part of this podcast, as we were planning this, we were like, what we're going to talk about, because it's a good time to start a podcast. Because anybody who's been here since season 1. We started just as football was coming to an end. It was the end of the season. So
yeah,
it's quite nice to be at the start, and there's a lot of football ahead of us. But we had the international break. Well, I say international break. Sorry, we're going into that now. But we had the Euros, and after that, and the way Sunderland season finished, I kind of just got a bit. I really enjoyed the break. There's a football podcast that sounds really bizarre because everyone's like, "Oh, we love live and breathe football." And in fairness, we do. It's the main thing I thought about. It's the main thing I think about. Play games around football. But I think when your team has such a waste of a season, it was just I just kind of fell out of it a little bit. So coming into pre-season, I mean, it's all old news now. We're talking about it because we're 4 games into the championship. But that whole kind of pre-season tour and kind of everything I don't want to say bleak because it wasn't bleak. The way we ended the season was poor. No wins, basically, in the last, 4 or 5. You beat us on the last day. And I thought, if you look at the way the seasons have started now, we've kind of crossed trajectories again, because I thought we were going to struggle. You guys looked like you had momentum going into the pre-season, coming into the new season, the way you started your first game. But we had so much mystery around the manager. We clearly hunted and stalked Will Still for so long, and he just kind of used us for negotiation power to get the Lens job. And then Regis Labrie came out of nowhere and kind of like, I didn't write him off.
Sounds like a
And I'm
bit
not trying to like,
cheese
I'm just like, it was just strange because it never hurt. Like, I'd heard of him because I think you'd mentioned Lorient and stuff like that before previously. And other than the little bits I'd heard about Lorient getting relegated, and then, I mean, I'm going around the houses here to get to the point, but I just didn't know what to think of him. So I didn't write him off. I just thought this is going to be, just go with it.
Yeah.
And my God, in my wildest dreams, did I think we would have the start we've had. I don't think there's even like most crazy out there Sunderland fan would have said after 4 games we would be unbeaten, win all 4, 10 goals scored, 1 conceded, and the one we've conceded is an own goal. Like, it's, I thought going into this season, the best thing about the season was going to be our strips. Long sleeves are back. If you're not watching, long sleeves are back. I'm waving them around. The Hummel deal's back. So there was like little bits of like things like, oh, we're getting this right. Oh, there's a new kit. Oh, there's a third kit. It's all like old badges, and like that was going okay. Then there was some decent-ish signings, kind of thinking, oh, well, maybe we're all right, but then lacking a striker still. And it's just like, and within that period of time, sold arguably our best player. I think he's probably on, like, if you look at it, if you're an outsider looking in, you'd think Jack Clark's our best player because of his output, his goals and assists. But like, I would probably say Dan Neil is our best player. Like, I'd be more worried about losing him at the start of the season anyway. And then Jack Clark goes after 2 games, or 2 or 3, I can't remember. It's maybe 2. And then after 2 wins, a kind of resounding victory against Sheffield, a win away at Cardiff, like unconvincingly, then dominating Burnley without Jack Clark, the person who stepped up to replace him in Mundle, scoring, like, touch wood, it's a really weird place to be in because things are good and like everything's gone right. The manager's tactics, the way we're playing's been amazing. Chris Rigg, 17-year-old, dominating championship games in his first professional season. Mundle, replacing arguably our best player, come in, scored, got 2 in his last 2 starts. He scored 2 goals. And our striker, that we didn't sign, that we pushed forward from last season, Mayenda, who's 19, I think. He scored 2 and got 2 assists in 4. It's just mind-boggling, like, to be sat here going into the international break and thinking, I wish these 2 weeks weren't here because I want to watch Sunderland play, because it's in all of that, in everything that's gone on, the way we're playing and the way we are beating teams. And it's not to just pick on Sheffield because it's you, but like after the first 10 minutes, it wasn't close. I think Cardiff's the only game, which was the first game of the season, which probably is put down to nerves and lack of kind of training with the manager. Burnley, we dominated. We should have been 3-0 up at half time, beat you quite heavily. And then Portsmouth, we dominated that game. And normally we have a weird thing with Portsmouth. It's a really, really good time to be a Sunderland fan. And it's just weird. It's a weird place to be because I don't want to get carried away. But what I will say is when you are a Sunderland fan, you don't get many options to get carried away. So there's there's a lot of clips, and there's one clip that I do want to play to everybody, which has become my now regular thing that I just post into groups for absolutely no reason and no context. And if you can't already tell, I'm doing a lot of filler because I can't find it. And anybody who listens to this podcast will know exactly what clip it is. And it's a guy who did a phone in and said this.
Get carried away, man. This is fantastic.
If anyone didn't hear that, I'll play it again.
Get carried away, man. This is fantastic.
And never
Sums it up
true
in a
words
nutshell, doesn't
spoken. That's it. But it's just, I just think, I don't know. It's just, like I say, it's just a strange place to be because I'm like kind of enjoying myself and kind of looking for things to bring me back down to earth because I'm like, well, Cardiff, they've struggled this season, so put that into context. You've been kind of like mixed match, like you've won a couple.
Good game.
One good game, yeah, sorry, but like I mean, including the cups and stuff. But then, and then, I think, we haven't really been tested. We haven't went behind. Like we haven't had real adversity. But like,
you got
at the same time, I'm thinking
games, haven't you? I think that would be a good test.
Yeah, it will be, and I think arguably Portsmouth will be a good test because we've had a couple of weeks break, and we're the kind of team that always seems to be the team that breaks their hoodoo. So like Rooney hasn't won a game, and we're going down there buoyant, kind of with a lot of confidence, almost not cocky, but I would say a lot of confidence.
The night before, do you reckon?
And then it's going to be the Ginsters Nightmare, Ginster pies all over the place, pie in our face. But yeah, mate, it's hard to pinpoint. And I don't want to take this like podcast and just dominate it with Sunderland stuff because there's plenty of Sunderland podcasts out there that people could listen to. But it's just, I can't believe how good, in context of everything, like how much credit the manager deserves at the minute from taking a team that was really lackluster, that was full of potential, to get us playing really aggressive pressing football, but calculated press, really strong defensively. Our keeper hasn't had a shot to save. Like, it's just, it will come to an end at some point, but long may it continue.
Yeah, I was hoping ours came to an end pretty abruptly, to be honest. Like 4-0 thrashing of Plymouth on the first game of the season. Haven't scored a goal since.
It's so
back to the norm.
Do you like what would you
out our goal difference? That's what you did. You wiped out our goal difference in one game. We won 4-0, then lost 4-0.
Do you think it's like a just for context then, because I think it's so easy for a fan from like inside the club, well, I say inside the club, but like inside the fan base to have like rose tinted glasses.
Yeah.
What was your, because we always kind of do the FBH podcast derby and send each other a couple of messages, but we don't really banter each other anything between. It's always kind of like before and after. So I was just thinking, like, because we don't go too hard on each other, what's your kind of thinking behind watching us play? Like, what did you think? Did you think, that's a really good team, or did you just think we are absolutely terrible today?
I think we started to be 3-0 down after 24 minutes, coming off the back of a 4-0 win. I mean, something went wrong. I think that's you have to say that. Like, we just didn't turn up. I don't think it would have been such. You are a very good team, though. The way you're playing at the moment, you got that momentum. But I thought we had momentum after smashing Plymouth in the first game of the season, and then go into it. But the thing is, though, I was saying to you on Tuesday as well, weren't I? I was like, I'm not bothered about losing to you guys or Leeds. We lost to the week after. Teams that are expected to be up near the top end of the league, like the way you're playing, you're going to be up there somewhere. Leeds are going to be up there somewhere. I'm not bothered by that. Beating Plymouth, quite happy with, because that's a team that potentially could be down there with us. Quite happy with that. It's that loss against Millwall which is the most concerning for me, because that was their first win of the season and they've looked awful. We've gone there and lost 3-0. Quite comfortably they've beaten us. Maybe we're just shit away from home, and that's it. I don't know.
Could be. Like, I'll be honest, like when I thought going into the game after the back of the Cardiff result, like we won that 2-0, and then I thought this is like, here we go, here's a good test, because one, you came to the stadium light, and looking at it on now, like looking in hindsight, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. Like, we coming into that game, I was thinking, here's a decent test for us, really, because Sheffield 4-0, they've kind of put the marker down based off of last season. That you've come into that and thought, into this season, carrying that momentum that you finished with, signed I mean, I know we've kind of pinched Paveda, but you managed to keep Doggy. That Doggy's the left back, isn't he? It's Ugbo. He signed him, and I thought, okay, Danny Rose signed his players. The team's a bit younger. He's managed to keep probably the core of the team. This could be a proper test for us. It's probably going to be a draw, but then it just unfolded. And I'm like you say, like to be 3-0 down after that period of time, you're not coming back from that. It's more about a kind of saving yourself from a bit more embarrassment, really. The talent thing for me, where I thought, something's not landed today, was the fact that we scored straight after half time. Like, it really, really simple goal. It was like ball over the top, played him across, man at a tap in. It was like, okay. But then the rest of the game was like just keep the ball thing, game management, which is something we really lacked. But like, I watched the cup game as well, because the young boy, what was his name? He got like a brace, I think. I can't remember his name. Who was in the cup? Oh, I had it written down on my phone to mention it, but again, like, it's just a weird thing, because it's like, it's almost like capitulation, and it's really early doors in the season. By no means do I think, oh dear, like it's curtains or anything like that. But I was just like, they're two really heavy defeats. Like the Leeds one, you can kind of, I know it wasn't as bad, but like, I just think when you concede one, you concede two, and then two leads to three, and three starts to creep to four. There's a little bit of, hang on a minute, there's something not right here with the players.
Yeah,
but
I think they're not clicking. It'll be interesting to play QPR after the international break, so in about a week's time.
Have you got many away for the international break?
I don't know. I don't think so.
We've signed some. We're playing Football Manager, by the way.
Basically, not France under 21s, isn't it?
And then we've signed. I don't know how to pronounce his surname, but Milan Alakjevic, a Serbian wonder kid, and it just reeks of a club like us, like we do on Football Manager. When you've got your transfer budget, you haven't spent it all, so you just go, let's find some dodgy under 21 5-star potential kid and sign him. Alexic, that's it, yeah. Don't know anything about him other than his Serbian manager said he receives the ball like Messi, and I was like, that's enough for me.
Yeah,
I've never seen.
I really don't know much about him either, which is he played for
surprising.
Radnicki in the Serbian league.
He's Serbian.
He's not.
He's already an international though. Like he's been
played
called
for the under-19s. That's what it says anyway.
But he's there. He's been called up.
He's been called up. Yeah.
He's just turned 18, I think, or 19. I think he was 18 linked, and then he's on deadline day when he signed. He was 19. I think that's what I heard anyway. But don't know anything about him. We've signed a guy unknown from Lens, Ahmed Salis. I feel really bad because I've just seen all the names and don't know anything about him. But I'm just like, hey, where they're coming from? He's played Champions League football.
Samed.
That's Samed. I just merged all these names into one. Don't know, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know anything about him. I just know from what's been written about him. He did his presser, and he said, "Oh yeah, I see that we've won 4 games and that's good, but it's not enough." And I'm like, "Christ Almighty, mate! Like,
simmer down. How can you win more than 4? 4 out of 4. Should have won 5. You know." Can't believe you didn't win 5 out of those 4 games.
It's mad. But maybe that's a sign of the mentality. Like everything looks good at the minute. So like
it does.
He could have said anything. And I'd have been like, oh yeah, he's great him, but just one of those things, isn't it? But so what's your kind of thoughts on your season so far? Because that's enough about Sunderland.
I think, like I said before, I think it was optimistic first game of the season. We're not talking about pre-season because it was a massive mixed bag of just crap. Like it was weird. Like pre-season. Obviously, beat Alfreton, get smashed by Brighton and RB Salzburg. Completely understanding.
Yeah, you'd expect to.
Then 2 draws against Werder Bremen, which weren't too bad, and Leganes. But like a 0-0 draw against Leganes to kick off the season, that sounds fantastic, doesn't it? But yeah, going into the season to beat Plymouth 4-0, I was confident against Plymouth, to be fair, though, because the way they've gone about things, hiring Wayne Rooney and things like
Sold
that.
all the best players, apart from Whittaker. How Whittaker's still there, I have no idea.
I have no idea about that, but like, I just thought, yeah, we should. And with the form we had on the back of last season, I thought, yeah, we're just going to smash them here, and we did, and I was delighted. We were top of the league for a week, absolutely fantastic. I will hold that forever in my mind. I took a screenshot, so we're all good. And then the inevitable 4-0, and I think that's good because we'll need goal difference potentially coming towards the end of the season. Next game, you wipe it out completely. All gone. Completely out of the bag. Fuck this. But it's an odd one because obviously the start we've had, like you've been on fire. Leeds are expected to be up there. We've beaten Plymouth, like I said. Millwall are a weird team because they have the potential, like they did in the last cup, not last season, but the seasons before that, to be in and around the playoffs. But last season they were awful, and this season they started a bit iffy, and then they've gone and smashed us at home. So like, I'm thinking maybe we've played a couple of teams that may be up near the upper ends of the league, and we're just not there yet, if you know what I mean. We've made quite a few, so in terms of like signings and stuff, few ins and outs. I mean, quite a few decent ins. I mean, we got that Charlie McNeil that you mentioned, who scored 2 against Hull in the cup. We signed Ike Ugbo on a permanently, which is good because he was one of our better players towards the end of last year. We got Nathaniel Shalabar in, Jamal Lowe, Max Lowe, Svante Ingolson. He looks pretty decent as well, the centre midfielder, Swedish fella.
Yeah, he was. One thing to think is about like football and stuff, and you can say like players like Mount, for example, who disappear. He was one that seems to constantly want the ball, play the ball. He's always there, a busy player. Well, that can sometimes be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but like he definitely looked like a busy player. The one I thought was a bit of a coup for you was the Low, as in fullback. Because coming from United, moving across to Sheffield, clearly obviously wanted to stay in the area, but I don't know. Like he has, from what I've seen, because I do keep an eye out on some of your games, and because I travel a lot and I do not use IPTV, I get a lot of access to games abroad. I do watch your games, and I don't know. He just seems
a bit off.
Seems like a little bit of a weak link. Almost,
yeah, it makes me think like he signed from Sheffield United. Has he got an ulterior motive? He just signed for us so he can fuck us over. Like, no, clearly not. But like, you know what I mean. And then you think other signings as well. We managed to keep James Beadle again, which I thought was quite good. Like the goalkeeper from Brighton.
Yeah.
Like, we got a solid sort of like team, but they all came in. I think they're just trying to gel a little bit. And I think it was that 4-0 win against Plymouth was just like papering over the cracks a little bit. We're playing Plymouth, first game of the season. Like, then we play some decent teams, and then we get beaten. Like, but I think we'll be okay. I just think it's a case of like it needs to settle down, and then we need to play someone, and we need to grind out like either a 1-1 draw or like a 1-0 win from somewhere against a half decent side. So that's what I'm thinking. This QPR game in a week. They have a week off. Think about what they've done. Reassess. Think about what they've done.
Think about what you've done.
They need to go and sit in a corner and think about what they've done. And then at home, come back after the international break against QPR, who are middle of the road team as well as us, similar to us in a lot of senses. That we could probably like grind out a 1-0 win. Quite happy with that. And that just gets you back on track. Bit of confidence with like comes off someone's arse and goes in the top corner sort of thing.
Well, not to fill you with any worry here, but they haven't lost since the opening day, which is against West Brom, so a decent team.
Yeah, West Brom are second, aren't they? So QPR, they've drawn 2. QPR have lost.
Drew against Plymouth, which is a strange result.
They have lost, by the way.
Plymouth, they lost. Yeah, they lost to West Brom starting the start of the season, and then they failed to beat Plymouth with 9 men. But the 9 men was like the 9th man was at the very end of the game.
Okay, see, yeah, I'm not too bothered about that.
Well, man, I'm just.
Nah, to be fair, like it's they drew with Plymouth, narrowly beat Luton. 2 teams in the bottom 3 at the moment who haven't won yet.
It's weird, Luton, isn't it?
Yeah, I sort of expected that, to be honest, because their promotion season was completely out of the blue with a team of mid-table championship players. And they got promoted.
It was a weird thing, though.
Didn't really spend a lot of money in the Premier League, and then came back down, and then they're just back to normal. I think this is what was probably expected the season they got promoted, isn't it?
Arguably worse.
Hey,
because they're arguably worse because I know they lost Barkley, which is I think Villa signing Barkley is such a strange.
Villa have been signing everyone now. I think they signed Ross Barkley. I think basically because they're now in the Champions League. I think they need to have like a British quota, don't they, of players. He meets that sort of criteria. Homegrown.
Like again, Luton. I mean, they got battered off Burnley first game of the season. Drew to Portsmouth, lost to Preston, drew with QPR. They lost to QPR on pens in the cup, and then played them straight after, and got beat again off QPR, and it was 2-1, and it was an own goal for Luton. But I mean, results don't necessarily show performances, and I think Luton will be one of them teams where it might just click and they'll go on a bit of a run.
Yeah,
but it's. I was quite shocked because I knew it's like they haven't done what Ipswich has done, and where Ipswich have just bought the Championship team of the year last season to go into the Prem. So if they do come back down, they're in the best possible position.
Yeah.
But Luton didn't really lose too much, and I suppose they did. They lost Giles, who's a good player, and it's just weird. Like I thought Luton would come back and. I don't know, and this is the thing, right? So this is where it just goes back to what I was saying about the start of the season. Like, I'm trying to ground myself a bit because as much as I want to go, oh, this is amazing, we've dominated teams. In reality, there's still a lot of teams in that league, in our league, that are just maybe haven't found the gear yet, and there's a lot of games. There's 42 games left. So,
yeah. I think the one thing I would say. If I compare this season to last season, despite us losing 3 out of the first 4 games, we've only lost 3 out of the first 4 games. We've won a game before November. I'm delighted.
Progress. Here's a question for you then, like, because I was talking to my brother, one of our number 1 listeners, but he was saying like. The league is arguably weaker this season. What are your comments on that? Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, is it weaker or is it more balanced? Would you say? Because it was very top heavy last season with Leicester and Southampton in there. Leeds obviously still in there, but like it was much more balanced. And then the 3 teams that have gone down, Birmingham mainly, Huddersfield and Rotherham were dog shit, but like Huddersfield they were in the Prem like less than 10 years ago. And then so you think like, but the teams that have come down, Luton aren't a Leicester, Sheffield United aren't a Southampton, Burnley are arguably a very good side, and they should be up there and thereabouts, but you've sort of replaced the teams that have gone with not so many good teams. You could argue that actually the teams that have come up from League One, barring maybe Oxford, Portsmouth and Derby are probably a bigger elevation than what was before, but like it's arguably more balanced, the league this year, and you don't have one of those teams that's just going to run away with it. Like we expected Leicester, Leeds, or Southampton just to run away with it, didn't we? But you've not really got one of those teams unless it's Sunderland. But yeah, it's. But you know what I mean? Like there's not really one of those. So arguably it is weaker in terms of maybe Leicester and Southampton going up. But is it actually more competitive and more balanced because they've gone up? If you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd probably agree with that, to be fair. That it is more like, I would say the bottom half of the table is going to be harder to decide. That seems a bit like...
I don't know. I mean, I predicted Cardiff last year to be relegated because they were shit the year before, and now I just predicted them early, a year early. But like, but,
I don't know. Like, I mean, it's hard to judge because it's so early in the season. But like, looking at Cardiff because of the way they finished the season and the kind of changes their whole. Their kind of change of ways. Not that Hull's been terrible or anything. It's just like teams I'm thinking about last season. But then
we talked about Hull quite a lot. If someone's listened to one of our season 2 podcasts now, like we actually talked about Hull and how we thought, because they spent a lot of money trying to get into the playoffs, didn't they? And then they didn't. They've had a bit of a fallout from that, and this is quite a common trend in the Championship. If you've watched it for a number of years, like the two of us have, this happens quite a lot. Teams spend way over their means to get into the playoffs to try and potentially get into the Premier League because they don't think they can finish top 2, but they could sneak in like 6th or 5th. Hull tried to do that. When you don't do it or you get into the playoffs and fail, 2 or 3 years later, those teams tend to go down or drop like a fucking stone because that money sort of runs out and then they've got really high wage bills with players they can't get rid of. But,
who do you think is the worst teams to do that? Because I think there's, well, maybe not the playoffs, but Sunderland's obviously, because you did it. We've, not for the Championship, but obviously we've spent beyond our means in the Prem and then fell through the leagues. Derby did it. Who do you think is probably suffering the most from doing something like that? It's hard to say, really, I suppose, but
you have to think of some of the teams like Reading, Wigan. I mean,
Reading probably. Reading's probably the worst.
Probably the worst.
Because they're still in disarray. Well, I say disarray.
Even Bolton did it to an extent. I mean, and dropped quite far. But like,
probably
it's sort of that.
In modern time, anyway.
Derby as well is another one. Like,
yeah, that's
an instance of nearly promoted, spent a load of money, lots of big name players on big wages, and then didn't get promoted, and then all of a sudden, shit, what do we do? And then it all goes down the pan. You have to try and fire sale, and then you get relegated for points deductions.
The reason I mention it,
it's very similar to our story, but yeah.
the reason I mention it is just because of like in the wake of like obviously we're in the post kind of scenes of the deadline day, the window shutting, and you see Jay Stanfield going to Birmingham basically for around the same fee that Jack Clark went to Ipswich, and it's
ridiculous, isn't it? In the League One, broke the League One transfer record by a mile.
Now the thing is, though, it's like we've talked about it on many a podcast where I think we're probably like a bit more hardened and maybe a bit more like judgmental of when teams do it. Like we're not just going, well, if we could do it, we would love it. Like I think we probably would be like, yeah, it's good, but like at the same time, like we've spent a lot of money here. Yeah. Whereas like
we've done it and it didn't work out. Like so. Those seasons when we were getting in the playoffs and lost in the playoff final, lost in the playoff semi-final, we bought Jordan Rhodes for like 12 million. And that didn't...
I just think...
Yeah.
At the same time, like I don't want another club to go out of business or anything like that. Because, I mean, I'd be a hypocrite based off of the things that we've said previously about all the teams that have spent badly and stuff and around like
Chairman.
the mismanagement of funds and stuff. But I don't think there's a non-Birmingham fan out there wants them to get promoted based off of the way they've went about it in League One. They're spending more than Premier League teams in League One, and fair enough, if the owner's got the money, then he's allowed to do what he wants to do. But if they fail to go up, that club is dead. It's dead. It will not survive. Yeah. It'll be a flash sale, and they're on about massive all-seater stadiums and all this, standing stadiums and whatever. And they're selling this.
It stinks such of desperation.
It's irresponsible, really.
It stinks of shit. We've been relegated. We can't afford to be in League One too long. Let's buy the league. If it again though, it's like we're talking about the Championship teams that have tried to do it to get to the Premier League. If this fails for Birmingham and they don't go up, which I'll be surprised if they don't, but if they don't go up and they got another season in League One, then it could really backfire on them. You could see FFP points deductions, you could see relegation, you could see fire sales, you could see people on huge wages that they can't afford. They're all putting their money in the promotion basket, basically.
I just if you're a Birmingham fan, I imagine you love the ownership, because fair enough, they've arguably it's their fault they got relegated, because when we both predicted them to finish highly, I think I predicted them to finish in the playoffs, and when
I went mid-table, didn't I?
Before they sacked the manager, they were well in amongst it, and that appointment of Rooney.
You was bang on before they bought him, old pie man,
old Wazza, old Ginsters. But we've really struggled to sign a striker. It's evident since Ross Stewart left that we've been after a striker, and we've focused on younger players, trying to get nominal wages in and develop them. And as painful as it be, and it's easy to say it now because Meander's scoring goals and assisting, and we're playing well and all of that kind of stuff. But when the bubble bursts, we'll come back to, we haven't really strengthened as a striker. That argument will come back. But at the minute, because it's working, it's kind of I love the way we approach things at the minute, because I'd rather play Moneyball in the kind of statistics and replace Jack Clark's goal contributions and spread it out to make a more dynamic team than just spending £11 million on a player who's arguably unproven. Is he a proven striker? People are saying he's done it in League One, he's played well for them. Fair enough, but then he just in the Championship he didn't really tear it up. But he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's bad or anything, but is he worth 11 million to Birmingham? He is.
I mean,
but it's just the market's so mad, and how much must he be on? Because you can't sign a player for 11 million and be cheap.
You think? Yeah, he's a striker, isn't he? 11 million's a lot of money, considering. So in his entire career, he scored 20 goals.
It's
and he's scored 20 goals in his career. I get he's only 21. He scored 12 in the Championship for Birmingham on loan last year. But when he was at loan in League One at Exeter, he scored 9 in 36 matches. I mean, as a striker in League One, I mean, that's not setting the world on fire for 11 million, is it? Maybe there was a lot of pressure in playing for Exeter, to be fair, though.
Yeah, he's got the history of his dad and stuff, and going back there and whatever. Exactly. But I just think, I don't know, it's just it gets I don't want to turn it in negative. It's the first episode of the new season for us, and I'm like,
Birmingham.
But it's it's just, I don't know. It's strange. I just think the games. It's like that saying, the game's gone, and isn't it? It's a bit like, oh my, is it really? Is that where we are now? Where teams that, because arguably, and there's the other thing. The team that's second in League One at the moment is Wrexham, and I do have a softer feeling towards them because I like the owner's TV show. So I'm like, oh, I'm pleased to see it, but I'm conflicted there because I hate Phil Parkinson.
They
I
seem
hate
to
James McLean.
with Wrexham. They seem to be winning people over and doing it sort of the right way, though. They are throwing money around, but they're also not. They're making it a community and making it sustainable and things like this.
Yeah, they've made
They're
a lot
not
of
doing
investment.
it silly, are they?
Yeah, they make. I mean, the money's there for them, I suppose, because there's a lot of like they've marketed really well. Like they've made a lot of the Disney series, and again, if it wasn't Rob McElhenney there as an owner, I probably wouldn't care as much. But like,
he cares
there's
a lot. He's there all the time, everything. Wrexham, and
he's cool. But he was at the I forgot what it's called. The retro football shirts.
Oh, classic football shirts.
Sorry.
I did see it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing the clip in there in Aldgate in the store. I was like, that's so cool. But like, that's somebody who's clearly like got to love the game. I definitely think that Ryan Reynolds is probably the more business. Like, not that he doesn't have a love for the club or anything. He definitely does. I think he is. But I think they're both really bought in. I don't think there's any kind of untoward fakeness about that.
A lot for football in the US, like just for this as well. The football in the US is getting bigger, all constantly, or every week.
Well, the fact that they were massively behind the National League getting televised,
which is a huge thing, especially for the clubs that are in the National League, because like that's an extra level of income for them, isn't it, as well?
So they get a lot of stick for like. I mean, I know the Notts County fans hate them and stuff, but they get a lot of stick.
But then the Notts County fans hate them. But when their chairman, I think it was their chairman, passed away, they were they're very good sportsmen though. So the Notts County fans may not like them, but they're actually quite down to earth, and they do give them credit where it's due when they do win games and things like this. So they're not like bitching about stuff and like slagging.
No, they were really like they were humble about it, and they kind of bigged up Notts County and sport really, really highly of them. So
yeah,
I do think their intent is the right way. It's the right way of going about it.
So, yeah, the team that are top of the league in League One, Stockport.
Unreal. Hey, can you believe Norwood went there?
I feel like Stockport are just one step ahead of Wrexham at all times. And Notts County are just one step behind.
And do you know what? It goes without like they probably don't get the
but they don't get the credit, do they?
But the thing is, right? They're probably looking at it and going, "You've got Birmingham spending left, right, and centre. You've got Wrexham throwing money at it. Maybe it's a distraction, like because we're not talking about them. We aren't really talking about Stockport. You've tipped them previously, but
I think they're probably just happy to do well here.
They're probably happy about just going. Do you know what? All the noise sits with them. We're just doing our thing.
Yeah, and I think Stockport are one of those teams who are really used to be terribly run, but have turned it around and now really well run, and they're climbing back to where they were because they used to be in the old money Division 1. A long time ago. They've got a big stadium as well. I think they're going to renovate it, from what I've heard as well. They're going to spruce it up, make it more modern.
I just got a flashback there of thinking, not like deja vu or anything, but I'm sure one of my old, well, maybe not mine, I think it was my brother's French teachers at school was a Stockport fan. Might have been Port Vale. Can't remember, sorry.
But yeah, I genuinely think they're doing things the right way. And Stockport could be one of those teams a bit like, how would you describe them? A bit like Peterborough, a bit like maybe a Bristol City. One of those teams that could be a decent, they might not trouble the top of the Championship, but they could be a team that sort of gets there, maybe gets relegated and sort
like
of
yo-yos, Palace of the Premier League,
but then sort of is there or thereabouts near the bottom mid-table. You know what I mean? They could be one of them. I think they'd be quite happy with that. But like,
just but it's like success is all relative, isn't it? Like, and I think there must be something. There's something brewing there because, like I say, Ollie Norwood, we were linked with him during the transfer window, and I was like, sign him. Like, what a player! The fact he's dropped down from the Prem, like the Prem, and
go there, yeah.
to go to Stockport, it's
Like I said, they're renovating the ground. There's good things going on at Stockport. They got a good couple of loan players as well. Big one, Michael Mellon from Burnley. Yeah. He just got a funny name. But
Melon. Well, I
Teo
think
Adaramola, who they've signed from Crystal Palace, is a good left back. So he'll do well in
expensive to
League
get on the
One.
back of your shirt. That like
Hey?
it's expensive to get on the back of your shirt.
Yeah. Extortionate. 3 A's. 4 A's.
I used to. This is how bad. I don't know if this is gonna like sound. This is like like a poverty time. Well, times were hard when I was younger. My dad was a miner.
Couldn't afford
He
4
genuinely
A's on
was
the
a
back of
miner.
my shirt.
Yeah. No, I couldn't. There was only a few letters, but to save money, right? Rather than get my full Harvey on the back of my shirt, I would just get the letters RV. I thought it was cool. It
So
wasn't
you
just
look
because
like
I didn't have any money.
American Winnebago sort of thing.
RV, like, did you like my RV? Is that you mean me or the van? Like what? Yeah.
Yeah, I was
But,
quite lucky. Like my surname's only 5 letters long, so it's not too expensive, is it? So
Not too bad. That's it. Well, this is the thing. When we go into the set, like, I'll dedicate episodes to this because one thing I think we've done well, and I think, I mean, I'm talking about kit releases and stuff and prices. Like, this is like 65, which, again, it's relative to the people buying and purchasing, but I think it's reasonably priced and like really, really nice, like casual shirt to wear. I've like wore this quite a lot. And what I thought was funny is after the game that we played you'd released that all black kit, which was really, really nice. And I went on Twitter and everything was just saying, never wear that strip again. It's a dead strip. Don't ever put that shirt on again. And it's like probably one of the nicest shirts.
it is one of the nicest shirts we got, but it's extortionate. Like, it is extortionate expensive.
So this is what I was going to say about like one of the episodes we'll have to do without getting too negative, like I say, but it's just around like pricing that, because the reason that springs to mind, not just because you throw on a player edition Real Madrid shirt, which is north of 100 quid,
Yes.
and the rest and the change. Have you seen what Villa's done? It's £85, the cheapest ticket for a Champions League game.
I know, yeah.
They were in a championship fodder for a while, and the same fan base. And I like Villa as a club. Like, I don't know why. I think it's probably because it's a proper club, big team.
It's my closest Premier League team.
But it's like, how can you? It's just, how can you do that to your fans, man? They've been there through it all, and then you were on the brink of relegation. If it wasn't for like a dodgy goal line technology, you probably would have got relegated. And your fans were still supporting you through it. And then you charge your fans that much minimum for a Champions League game, which is the holy grail. Like, it stinks.
Yeah, it does.
And this is another reason why I've got no interest in the Premier League. Like, as much as I'm enjoying us, it's not because I'm thinking, oh God, we're so good, we're going to get to play in the Premier League. It's not. It's because we're playing good football. It's nice to watch. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to watching my team entertain.
Here's a good question then. Would you happily play really lovely football in the Championship, finish 7th, but you play really nice football, you get some really lovely good wins, have a nice FA Cup and League Cup run, so maybe you get to the quarterfinals of the League Cup, semi-finals of the FA Cup, get a day out of Wembley that way, and not get promoted, or play dog shit football, get promoted into the Premier League, and then come straight back down again?
So I'm going to caveat this because I'll be honest, my dream as a Sunderland fan is to see, and I think I've talked about this with you previously, I've talked about it with my mates and that, the best case scenario as a team like us, like Sunderland, like Sheffield Wednesday, excuse me, is the hope that we could do something West Hamish and win the Conference League, because Champions League
see your team in Europe.
Exactly. Not even win anything, just be in Europe.
If I caveated with it, then, so if we said you finish 7th in the Championship But for some reason, which Premier League teams don't take the League Cup seriously, you won the League Cup and got into the Conference League.
100%.
Yes. Yeah, you take
Sign
that.
me up.
100%. I never understand why they don't take these cup competitions seriously, especially even when they're in them as well, because you actually get a lucrative prize for winning them. So, like, I just don't get it. Like a lot of those lower league Premier League teams should be targeting cup competitions to win to get into Europe if that's their ambition. But yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, like,
and then
100%.
They get to Europe and then they sack it off and think, well, we would only go if it was the Champions League. But wait a minute, if you win the Europa League, you get in the Champions League.
Well, there's the other thing today that I've seen. And you talk about, like, how here's another advert for why I couldn't give a toss about the Premier League. And there may be a bit of an exception to it because it is Chelsea. But have you seen that Chelsea haven't registered Cole Palmer for the Conference League?
Yeah, that's taking the piss.
What's the point?
Yeah, but the thing is, though, with that, it's like...
Because the managing his minutes, they said. But I'm a fan. I want to watch my best players play.
In Europe.
What's the point?
And look, again, if they win the Conference League, they've won a European trophy. They also qualify automatically for the Europa League without having to finish in the top 6 of the Premier League. You know? You know what I mean? Like, why don't you want to win trophies that you're in? And then they're probably thinking, well, we don't want to qualify for the Europa League. Well, you're not going to fucking qualify for the Champions League, so...
especially on a European level, because, like, we went out in the first round.
You think of the West Ham fans winning the Conference League?
I know. Like, I looked at it when we played Preston and Carabao. I think we didn't go to Preston thinking, let's get knocked out. I don't think any team does that, really. But we went there, changed the 11 and give the other lads an opportunity to, like, stake a claim for the squad. We didn't take it, got beat 2-0 and went out. And I looked at it and went, it's only the Carabao. But we're a championship team. Like, if I'm, like, a Spurs or a Palace or anybody outside of that top 6...
Should be taking that seriously.
Should be, yeah, because it's an easy competition to win.
It is an easy competition to win. Take it seriously, and you can win one of these competitions. You get into Europe, you're like, and then all the panic comes on in like 10 games left of the season. They're like, oh shit, we're 9th. We're not going to get into Europe this season. Well, if you took the Carabao Cup more seriously, you could have actually won a competition by now and be in Europe as a fail-safe just in case you don't finish there.
Mm-hmm. But again,
I don't get their priorities sometimes. Like, it's basically Europe or bust, but only via the league. We're only allowed to qualify for Europe via the league. And it's just like, but there's other ways of doing it, so why would you... I would like to see one of the Premier League teams, maybe like Bournemouth or something, really take the FA Cup and League Cup seriously to just qualify for the Europa Conference League or something, and then win that. You know what I mean? Like, and then consistently finish, 13th. They'd just say, we don't care about the league, we just want to win some trophies, get into Europe by winning trophies. Because you could win, realistically, you could finish 13th in the Premier League 3 seasons running, 4 seasons running, let's say. You could win the League Cup in the first season, finish 13th, win the Conference League in the second season, finish 13th, win the Europa League in the third season, finish 14th. You're in the Champions League in 4 years without finishing in the top 4. Like, why aren't clubs thinking about that? Why are they thinking, oh, we must finish in the top 4? Because you don't need to. You could win it. Like, Man United should take the Europa League very seriously. So should...
Well, they're definitely going to have to, because they ain't making top 6 on...
Again, like... But if they don't, and they start playing youth players and pissing around in it, and you're thinking... Are they really that confident they're going to finish in the top 4?
That's a thing. Like, I wonder. Like, I know we've talked about Birmingham, but I wish I knew a Birmingham fan that I could ask right now and say, since you won the cup and you got relegated in the same season, would you sacrifice that cup win in, like, hindsight, not go on the journey you've been on since then, and never win that cup, or would you sacrifice that cup win in hindsight, not go on the journey you've been on since then, and never win that cup? Or... would you sacrifice that cup win to still be in the Prem and finish fourth bottom every season? Because
I don't think they'll want to sacrifice a cup win.
I wouldn't, because I would.
And with what you get nowadays as well, you could realistically win the League Cup from the Championship, and you're in Europe. You could get into the Champions League now, being in the Championship. Imagine that. Like, you could. Like, there's actually a realistic way to be in the Champions League. I'm going to actually try this on Football Manager, not get promoted from the Championship, but put all my eggs in cup baskets and try and get in the Champions League while still being in the Championship, because it is possible. Like, it is genuinely possible.
Yeah. Well, on that note, mate, should we take a quick short break?
Yeah.
And as we like to, and then when we come back, we can talk about your predictions for the leagues. Let's go for it. Right, quick short break. And welcome back to football. Bloody hell.
Just vomiting then.
Well, mate, I haven't got them in front of us, so I don't know how you want to do this. Because, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, I told Matt I was going to do them. He reminded me earlier this week, and I forgot. So we're just going to have Matt go through in this whistle-stop tour, and I'll do mine the following episode, I think.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll share who I think will win the leagues, relegation.
Yeah.
Maybe top 4 in the Premier League, up to playoffs in the Championship, that sort of stuff. Like, and I'm not going to throw any reasoning at you. I might do, but I'm not going to.
Why have reason? Who needs reason?
I picked these purely based on. It took me about 5 minutes. Okay, yeah. It's like
an Excel formula.
Gut feeling. That's what it gave. Gut feeling.
So
shall I start from the bottom?
Prem,
or start from the Prem?
Prem to League 2.
No, I was going to do Prem, League 1, League 2, National League, then the Championship to end on, because we are Championship fans, aren't we? So even though that's not the proper order of the leagues, but I need to leave the best till last. So yeah.
I was always conscious, because when we started this podcast, there was a shout out to the Second Tier podcast, because I just didn't want to look like I was copying them. Not like we're anywhere near the level that they're at, but let's be honest, we're a Championship podcast.
Basically, we're a podcast that supports the league that our teams are in. So if we get relegated next year, this season, we're a fucking League 1 podcast next year, mate.
All right, then.
Right.
Go for it.
Premier League, I've gone for Man City again, which is boring, but the way they're playing football is ridiculous. They're like a fucking machine. Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, top 3. 4th place, I've gone for Chelsea. And this is off the basis of the fact that they have they've got the players to do it if they click. So it's sort of a wild card pick. They have got the ability and the players, enough fucking players as well, to actually do it. Outside of them, I've got Spurs, Newcastle and Villa just outside the top 4, and then Man United, Brighton, West Ham. That's my top 10.
To be relegated.
Relegated. Man United, Brighton, West Ham relegated. No. Relegated, I've gone for Notts Forest, Southampton and Ipswich. I think Leicester will stay up. I got Everton narrowly missing relegation again. I feel like they're. Do you remember Coventry and Everton from the 90s, where they always were shit, and they somehow stayed up? I feel like it's one of those things. It depends how many points Everton get deducted for other teams doing FFP stuff. So like it. I did see this thing from Paddy Power the other day, and they were like, So what are we going to do this season? Should we change our branding? Should we do this? Should we just deduct Everton 6 points? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
I saw one of Paddy Power as well where they said Leicester has successfully won their claim to have points deducted from Everton.
Yeah, exactly. What should we have? What should we do for Christmas this year? Deduct points from Everton? Yes. But yeah, that I think. Yeah, and then obviously all the other teams in the middle, like the usuals: Palace, Bournemouth, Brentford in the middle.
Yeah,
I think it's much more reasonable. I think it's quite. I've gone quite safe. I think this year.
Yeah, I think.
We were quite close in points last year, weren't we, in terms of our predictions? But I had some wild ones. Like I put Bournemouth in the relegation zone, and they finished mid-table. And I know they've improved this year, and I don't think they will actually be as shit as some of the other teams in the Premier League.
Well, to make it fair, because I know I won the last one, just throwing that out there. When I redo mine at the weekend, you can redo yours based off of what you've seen this season so far. If you want to, you don't have to change it. You can stick by it, but I think you should be allowed to change at least.
Okay, so let's say I can make one change per league. Is that fair?
I think you're being a bit harsh with yourself. I would let you
have another
stab at the league.
I'm quite happy with them. Like, even now the season started, but yeah.
Fair. Okay.
I'm going to skip the Championship for now.
Yeah, come back.
I'm going to go to
Where we going, League One? Okay.
Birmingham to win the league.
Yeah.
Huddersfield second. Mm-hmm. Then playoffs of Stockport, Bolton, Wrexham, Barnsley.
Even without the way things have started, I wouldn't have had Bolton or Barnsley in there. I fancy Charlton, Charlton this season.
Right. I love Charlton.
Obviously.
But
family ties.
Yeah. But they are bottle jobs. They signed the best striker from Cheltenham in League One last season. I predicted Charlton to be in and about the playoffs last season, and they fucking let me down. They let me down every season. To be fair, I've got them in 8th, so it's not like a wild predict. I've got them like up there, but I feel like they're not. They're a side who's been perennially near the middle or bottom of League One for a long time. I feel like if they get near the playoffs, they'll struggle to cope with the pressure of trying to get in them.
I mean, I hope they fail because they've got our old owner there and he's a dick. So I don't mind.
That's fair.
I don't mind that.
But other than
relegation.
So you think Charlton might be in there? The other teams I got in and around the playoffs, I've got Peterborough, Rotherham, and Blackpool in and around there.
Fair. Steve Bruce, by the way.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It's a fall from grace when he fucked us off for Newcastle. Fantastic. Yeah, cheers, mate. Anyway.
I don't think he's ever left. Has he ever left a club with any of the fans thinking like a nice thing about him? Like when he left us, we really hated him. I think when he left Wigan, the Wigan fans were sick of him. Or he kind of mugged them off to go to us. Then
Did
obviously
the Man United
he came
fans
to
like
you.
him after he stopped being a player? They must have done.
Well, I'm talking about managers though, management. Yeah. Anyway, fair. I think you're probably right with Blackpool because he's got some pedigree though. Let's be fair. I know he gets dug out and stuff, but
at
in
that
League
level,
One, surely
he's going to be a decent manager at that level. And I think Blackpool they're quite a big side for League One in terms of the grand scheme of things. So I think they'll do decent. I just don't think they got enough to be as good as
I think the kids.
Your Wrexham, Barnsleys, things like this. But yeah.
I know you didn't put Wrexham in there, which was surprising.
Yeah, I did.
Did you? What was it?
Yeah, I got them in 5th.
Sorry. Okay. Fair. For relegation then.
Shrewsbury, Cambridge, Northampton, and Crawley.
Yeah, fair.
The other teams I got down there: Burton Albion. I know Leyton Orient have had a terrible start, but I've got them down there. But they're a decent team at heart. I think they could probably pull. It's only 4 games, isn't it? Stevenage I got down there. I really think they're last season was
They
a
over
blip.
excelled, yeah.
Yeah, it was massively over-egged. But I think, the 4 teams I got down there, I think Shrewsbury, I'm saddened to put last because like they've been in League One for a long time, and like they're sort of one of those teams like Fleetwood got relegated last year, and they were there for a long time, punching above their weight. Accrington the year before that, punching above their weight a little bit, and it's quite nice to see those teams in there, but it always catches up with them somehow. So like, yeah, but that's my bottom 4 for there. Shall I move on to League 2?
League 2. Yeah.
League 2, I've got Doncaster winning the league. Second place, Gillingham. And then Chesterfield, back-to-back promotions. Playoffs, Bradford, Walsall, Notts County and Barrow.
I'm just comparing to the start, and you're not far wrong so far.
Yeah, Gillingham I predicted to do really well last season, but I think they must have needed one kind of like embedding season to get together, and now they're actually doing really well. I think Donny are bookies' favourites as well to win the league.
Yeah, they've lost one.
The other team that I think is quite high up in bookies' favourites is MK Dons, but they've started so badly.
Terribly.
I put them in mid-table, and I put them finishing below AFC Wimbledon, because I think that's a right thing to do. So, like,
yeah, Wimbledon's had a really good start.
Wimbledon have had a really good start. I've got them just outside the playoffs, to be fair.
Biggest shout beating Ipswich Premier League team.
Relegation, Morecambe and Harrogate, with Swindon somehow not being relegated, even though they're shite, and I would happily see them relegated, but it'd be nice to have 2 ex-Premier League teams in the National League, wouldn't it? But
oh, I've got a bit. It just reminded us. I've got a bit of trivia for you, but we'll save it till the end. A little knowledge.
But yeah, Swindon, they're massive rivals with Oxford. I was born in Oxford. Like, yeah.
I get it. But maybe some of the
I've got them
listeners
staying
don't.
up. Like, and Harrogate's lovely. I would. It's a lovely place, but.
And then
I just don't think.
penultimate.
I think Harrogate are one of those teams again. They're one of those teams that are a National League team playing in League 2. Like, it's like because there's that bottleneck. They got promoted really well from the National League. They've not really done anything in League 2, and I think it's about time for them to go back down again. There's a few of them that were like that. You got your like Yeovil and things. I know Yeovil sort of flashed up and then flashed back down again. But yeah, like teams like that, Forest Green are another example. Like, those sort of teams. Sutton United is another one as well. But yeah, National League. I got Gateshead winning the league.
Good at. I mean,
whether they're allowed to be promoted is a different question.
It's such a
because that
thing.
is fucking mental. They got the biggest stadium in the fucking league. Yet because of the lease isn't 10 years long, they couldn't go in the playoffs. So because the playoffs is 7 in the National League, which is fucking bizarre. But like, is it 7 or is it 6? It's 6, isn't it?
It's 6 teams, but it's down
6
to
teams,
7.
but top 7, yeah.
That's what you mean.
I don't think you really care about this, but Barnet, Forest Green, Oldham, York, Rochdale and Sutton United in the playoffs.
I mean, looking at the live table, you're not that far off. Sutton's the only one really outside. Well, replace them with Aldershot, which is surprising, but
yeah, I got Aldershot finishing like 13th, like mid-table.
I think eventually, probably.
I feel like they've probably just started really well and they'll eventually fade. The other teams I got outside are Eastleigh, Solihull Moors. Teams that usually are near the playoffs, but inevitably don't. Well, Solihull Moors do get there, but I just think there's a lot more better teams than them this season. Relegation: Ebbsfleet, Boston, Tamworth, and Wealdstone.
Wealdstone Raiders. You want some? I'll give it you.
Championship then.
Okay,
the one we actually care about. Yeah?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Leeds to win the league. Sorry, mate.
Fuck you. But yeah, fair. I think you'd probably be right.
Burnley to finish
You'd
second.
expect them to. Second, you said, yeah?
Burnley, yeah. Sunderland to finish third.
Mind.
Then I got West Brom, Sheffield United, Middlesbrough. Rest of the playoffs.
So basically the biggest teams in the league.
Yeah, well, you have to pick them. Just outside the playoffs, I got Watford, Coventry. I got Luton up there, well, upper mid-table. I got us in 14th, I think it is. Which I'll be happy with after the start we've made. But relegation-wise, Plymouth, Cardiff and Oxford. I know Oxford have started well, but I do feel like they're going to get a few spankings at some point.
Yeah.
Also down there, Pompey, Blackburn, Derby, Preston.
Derby seemed to start in the first couple of... But again, it's only 4 games. Like, can't really judge it off anything like that. But, like,
I was
Derby
toying with Stoke
really
being
badly
down there, to be honest.
Mm.
Because Stoke are one of those teams that could be fantastic, but could be dog shit. And there's no sort of middle ground. So I put them in the middle because they might surprise me and just be boring. But, like... it's like... But they're like an enigma. You just don't... I actually forgot they were in the league when I was doing my predictions. I put them all out and I was like, shit, there's only 23. What's the other team? And I was like, oh, Stoke.
What they call him? What's his Stanley? What's he called? The main Stoke guy? God, why's my mind gone to bits?
Who?
Stanley... What's his name? The Stoke legend.
Stanley Matthews.
Matthew. God, why couldn't I think of his name? Other than that, what if... Like, I hope there's some Stoke fans because it means our footprint of listeners has increased. So I'm pissing some Stoke fans off here. But what have they offered the league other than Rory Delap throw-ins?
I mean,
Stanley Matthews.
They were good.
What have they done? I mean, it's like Byers Molehill. It's My Hill, sorry, not Bone Hill. My Hill. I know, Bonehill, Byers Bonehill. Can you remember when he was so terrified he could see the throw in? It's the Pro Evo version.
That's hell of a name, isn't it?
Can you remember when he conceded a corner kick because he didn't want to concede a throw in? Because Roy was terrified of Roy Delap throwing it out. He booted it out for a corner. But like, other than that, like, I just...
Well, the thing they have offered to Staffordshire specifically is they've won the Staffordshire Senior Cup 19 times, so you know.
Don't forget that. Don't forget that. But
and they won the Birmingham and District League. Well done.
That's very true. I think I think it's hard. I would say, like we said at the start of the episode, it's really difficult to say because it is quite balanced. Like there is. Other than the easy thing to do would be to go the 3 promoted teams who have come up will get relegated. But Portsmouth were really good last season. I think they'll have enough to stay up. Plymouth, the Rooney effect. I don't know how he keeps getting jobs.
No, he needs to take over a team that no one really cares about that's in the National League, so he can just get them relegated instead. Because like he's upsetting far too many people in taking over Plymouth. I'm sure he's got a lucrative pie deal, which is going to keep him going for a good couple of years. But like, mate, just go and take over like Buxton or something like that. Sorry for the fans of Buxton, but like,
the thing is, it just reeks like Rooney's like trajectory of his jobs and stuff. Like it just reeks that.
Do you know what would be really nice is if he took over MK Dons. I don't no hope. But yeah.
But it's just weird because like you can't.
He shouldn't be a football manager.
When you look at what he did, like with Birmingham, it was just like. Even with DC United, like it was.
DC United, he consistently finished last. But he just couldn't get relegated, so he just fancied a relegation. I think, like he was getting bored of like not being relegated. He's like, why can't I get relegated? I really want to get relegated. Like, I'll take over Birmingham. I can get them relegated. But
he got sacked before. He was like, "Oh, I got sacked before this." And he got up Plymouth. Because the thing is, like Birmingham, when he took it over, they were a decent club to take over, like a good prospect. But you
they're
look
in
at
a
Plymouth,
really good position.
Plymouth's in like a really bad spot, and he's taking a job there. So it clearly says to me like he was desperate for a job, and they were desperate for somebody who wanted a job, rather than like, "Oh, I really think Rooney's going to take us." He'll get sacked. He'll 100% get sacked.
I think what Rooney needs, though, if he really wants to be a football manager, which most people would advise him not to be and probably take a change in career and be a pie taster or something like this, I don't know. But, like, if he really wants to be a football manager, prove yourself in the lower leagues. Go into obscurity for a bit. Prove yourself with a team like, I don't know, take over like Southend or something like that. Like, prove yourself with a team that you can do it at that level and build yourself up. The fact that these big ex-pros from the Premier League drop into jobs in the Championship and League One or the Premier League makes a mockery of those ones doing really good jobs in the lower divisions. And you think, like, realistically, what should have happened is they should have said, well, no, you're not proven at that level. Go take over a team in the National League or League Two. Then come back to us in a year once you've won something.
The thing is, though, it's not him making the decision. He's just.
I know it isn't, but that's what the clubs should be saying to him. Like that's what I think, anyway. We don't care that you're called Wayne Rooney. Your CV is shit. So your playing CV is fantastic, but your managerial CV. Go and win a fucking FA Vase and come back to us, mate.
Can you imagine you being in his interview, like sat there like this, like with your notes and your pen and your pad and stuff, like, oh yeah, Man United Champions League win, oh yeah.
Yeah, did you win any of those as the manager? No.
And like all-time goal scorer, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh very good. Right, Mr. Rooney, Wayne, can I call you Wayne? Can I call you Wazza?
Well, we're not signing you as a player.
Yeah, Wazza, why don't you fuck off to Southend? Why don't you win a paid trophy?
The thing is, though, like, that's what he needs, though. Like, for him to be a successful manager, he needs to prove himself at those lower levels and prove he can do it, because he's consistently out of his depth.
The thing is, I don't think he
thinks he is, though.
No. Well, I was just about to say this. I don't think he does, because when he got sacked from Birmingham, he started playing FIFA with a bunch of YouTubers. That's what he was doing in between jobs. They're like, "Oh, right, Wayne, what have you been doing in between?" "Oh, well, I've been playing FIFA. Played FIFA with a bunch of like 20-year-old kids and streamed it, and then got the Plymouth job." You're like thinking, "This is a serious like."
Yeah, like, unreal. It makes. Thing is, though, you don't.
Do you think he's the worst
He
manager in the
might be a good
Championship?
lower league manager, and he's just not, because he thinks so much of the fact that he could do it, even though he's consistently failed at higher levels.
Do you think he's like?
He could go and be Sutton United manager and sit there with that guy who ate all the pies on the FA Cup game. You know, like
the keeper.
Yeah, their ex-goalkeeper.
Jesus. He got fined for that, didn't he? Because he got banned or something. Because he
made a sponsor, wasn't it?
Never mind. Like, he cared.
Yeah.
But do you think Rooney's the worst manager in the Championship?
Yeah.
Do you think he's the worst manager in the Football League?
Arguably.
Oh my! Do you know what it is? Right, it's just dawned on us that we play Plymouth next, and this episode's going to come back to haunt us now.
Yeah, and so if anyone, what I ache into the start with our schedule, we're doing it on like a 2-weekly cycle now, so we can fit it all in. So in 2 weeks' time, actually, we're gonna, which is really fortunate because we missed this international break. But then, like, we'll come back in 2 weeks, and we'll be like,
mind that Wayne
so
Rooney.
How did you fare against the worst ever manager in the football?
Yes, tactical masterclass. Right.
Yeah, he's beaten you like 8-0 and like scored. Just like, what's going on?
Masterminded it. Well, look, we've obviously got carried away because this is a long episode, so
This first one back, we will get carried away.
We will. The boys are back in town. Wait there. I tell you what I'm going to do. Can I skip it? Can I see if we get banned again? Too close. My question for you, Matt, is, and bearing in mind you're going to have to answer quickly because we are at the end. We are at the top of the hour, nowhere near the top of the hour, past the hour. Which 3 clubs have the worst points total in the history of the time of in their time of the Premier League? So since the Premier League's inception, not the old Division 1, Premier League, which 3 teams have the worst points total?
Derby County
so for example, for example, Sunderland have accrued 618 points.
Oh, so League. Like in terms of the worst point total,
kind of
cumulative points total.
Yeah.
Swindon Town will be last then. Like,
boom, there's one.
When you said that, I thought the question, and I was like, is it Derby? But no, that's a trick question because actually, Derby were the worst ever, but they've been in the Premier League quite a few times, so their accumulative points total will be actually quite higher. So
correct. So it's not.
It's correct. Not Derby. Bradford? No.
Nope.
I'm trying to think. Flash in the pans. Barnsley.
Bing bong.
Yeah.
So Swansea, Barnsley. One more.
Swindon.
You've already said them.
Oh, you said. You said Swansea. I was like, oh.
Sorry, not Swansea. Swindon, Barnsley. One more.
And one more. Is it a recent one?
No clues, Matthew.
Luton.
Bing bong. Well done, man. Swindon threw me, and the only reason it threw is because my brother.
Flo they had up top.
The only reason Swindon threw me was because my brother, when he gives them questions at the start of it, he went, "They were there since the inception. Did goals out?" And I was like, "Fucking hell, who is it in the league?" So I started thinking,
Well, the other one I imagine is quite.
They were there for this. It was the second year of the Prem, but
I imagine the other one that was quite close is Oldham, but they were there 2 years.
That's what I said. That was my guess. Ian Marshall and his mullet.
They were there 2 seasons. I imagine. Yeah, there's a few that have only been there a couple of times, isn't there?
Well, my first guess was Oldham. That was like, it's got to be, but no, they were there for a couple.
Yeah, they were there for 2, yeah. But then
because I said Derby straight away, but it was like they were there for a while. They've done more than one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I thought of Derby when you said the lowest points total, and I thought, oh wow, yeah, that's Derby. But in terms of accumulative, they've been there more than once, so like they won't be the lowest.
We weren't that bad, really. We had one of the lowest points totals, but we're like mid-table for points, which is mad when you think how long we've been outside the Premier League.
That is mad.
But yeah. But here we are, mate. Episode 1, season 3. Bang, done.
Nice.
Back into it. So here we are, guys. Thank you again for anybody who's still subscribed and listening. Hopefully you continue to listen in and enjoy me and Matt slag away and Rooney off for the next however many episodes we do.
Well, we might not be in the next episode. Like the first episode could be the only slagging that he gets, and then it could come into it, and they could have beaten my 3rd place team.
Yeah. I really hope I don't come back to this recording and say, "Wow, that Wayne Rooney is some boy."
He's some boy, that man.
Some boy. Right, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Happy to be back. And
yes.
We'll catch you again soon.
Yeah. Take it easy, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.